How's it going, everybody? It's me, the amazing Amaz, the storyteller, back at you with another video. And today I wanted to do something a little bit different, something I've always wanted to talk about on my channel, but have never really seemed to get around to, and I've been absent for quite a long time off of YouTube. I'm going to start back up again. Weekly videos are coming. I'm going to try to do one good one a week, you know, because I was pushing out a lot of them, and I'm a novice at YouTube, period. So it kind of felt like I was just a normal person rushing into this. I didn't really take time to focus on my talents and focus on my strong points to kind of bring you guys better entertainment, better quality entertainment, and most of all, something to get you through your daily workday, something to listen to. So that's really my new plan. That's really my new focus. But I wanted to talk to you guys today about cryptids. Now, what is a cryptid? A lot of people don't hear that word as often as they used to back when it was on Discovery Channel, like with cryptid hunters or searching for monsters, or no, Monster Hunters was the big one. That was the big one. And you would watch the show and it would be like there's no conclusion. Right? They have like a little bit of evidence that they throw in there, a little bit of drama, weird noises, you know, and then they all freak out, and then it's like, but there was nothing. So I wanted to clarify exactly what a cryptid is for those of you who don't know what it is. Holy crap, my whole house just started vibrating. But a cryptid is a animal or creature or even undiscovered places and locations unknown to the three sciences, zoology, archaeology, and another one, I forget the name of it, but it's a study of humanoids and human ancestors. Maybe that might be anthropology, I'm not too sure, but when cryptids are undiscovered, let's take the biggest one that everybody knows, the Loch Ness Monster, right? That's probably the most well-known cryptid, and it is my least favorite because it is one of those that is definitively a hoax, right? And a lot of cryptids are derived from hoaxes, but a cryptid is a creature that is undefinable by science, or undiscovered by modern science. And the Loch Ness Monster is a perfect example of this, even though, again, I'm pretty sure we've disproven it, and it was confirmed to be a hoax many times. But a lot of times cryptids get a bad rap, and a lot of people don't want to look into it because of these hoaxes. Now, the hoax that come out over these animals and creatures is derived from the media. Back in the day, like let's take 1930s for example, there were articles in New York Times about the Jersey Devil, or in the Chicago Weekly about a sea creature, and all these other newspaper outlets back in the day kind of gave cryptids a horrible rap, kind of made them seem like something made up, something fiction. But to remind you guys, many years ago, we're talking like 70 years back, the panda, the chimpanzee, the gorilla, the coelacanth, you know, these animals were things of myth. There was a Chinese guy sitting there, and he was telling a foreigner, yeah man, there's this thing in the jungle, it eats bamboo, it looks like a bear, never seen it eat meat, black and white, has weird black eyes, you would never ever be able to unsee this thing once you see it. And the explorer at the time would be like, oh, you're just full of shit, I'm going back home. And the next thing you know, one of his buddies brings back a panda bear from China and discovers it and documents it. And it's like, whoa, wait a second, that was an animal with mythical value. That was a beast surrounded by a religion and myth. So the same thing with the gorilla, you know, the locals were like, yeah, there's this giant hairy beast that can throw trees and just absolutely fuck up your day, and we don't want to go after it, but you can because you don't believe in it. And then next thing you know, they kill two gorillas in the mountains. It's insane to just kind of dismiss these all as fake. Now I understand that hoaxes are a huge thing, and a lot of people just say bullshit to get clout or to get notoriety, but there's still that adventurous aspect of it that, well, maybe it could, right? And one that I really wanted to bring up was like the possibility of a kraken, and that could have been the giant squid, right? Storytelling has evolved, and a giant squid, I think somewhere like it could potentially grow up to like 70 feet. 70 feet? So it's not ridiculous to believe that the kraken was a giant squid that attacked a ship one day. You know what I mean? So a lot of these mythical creatures from history may be exaggerated creatures we have yet to discover. And that's something to keep an open mind about. We could easily find these if we got that heart back to pioneer a new age in which we just go through exploration all over again. But I think a lot of my age group, a lot of my generation is too afraid to take that first step and really doesn't care to because they have all the information they need in the palm of their hand. I mean, we can Google a simple question and get the answer just like that, when as before it was like you had to read, you had to do research, you had to communicate, you had to go face to face with people to kind of grasp the concept of something you didn't know, right? Information wasn't as abundant as it is now, and even so, there are still sightings that elude this information network we have. And they could be because these creatures simply don't exist. And I'm not ruling that out. But I'm also not ruling out the fact that there were jackalopes in Arizona. And it was from a mutation where they did grow antlers. It's a bone mutation that some rabbits get because of the weather or something. And to be fair, that's a legitimate cryptid that has been discovered, right? Because even though it is not a new species, which is why it's still myth, it still did happen. And the fact is, a lot of these could just be explained off as mutations, right? And I'm fine with that. At least we got an answer, and that is satisfaction to me. That's why I find this so interesting. So I'm going to be making these videos on a weekly basis, picking out each individual cryptid. These are just some of the examples I have here, and I'm sorry I'm using such a cheap recorder. I'll get a new one as time goes on. But I mean, these are just the bare minimum, the most popular ones. I'll go over a lot of them. And a lot of these cryptids, will be just subjective to myth and legend and lore, and not so much the whole scientific, yeah, it exists. You know what I mean? I'm not saying every one of these exist. I'm just saying that it's interesting that it may still have the possibility to exist in this new era, right? And so after that whole introduction and little rant, I will go over one cryptid today. Let's pick one out. Let's look through these. So I'm well versed in pretty much all of these, but a good one to start off with would be Mothman, right? So who and what is Mothman? Honest to God, there are so many different legends revolving around Mothman, but every single sighting he's been in seems to be a couple in the middle of the night, like 11 to 3 a.m., just out minding their own business, when all of a sudden a moth-like man swoops down and dents the hood of their car and threatens them, shaking the car, trying to get at them, and then just leaves, or the couple leaves, right? A very violent encounter with no injury and no substantial evidence of the Mothman. There are photos, tons of photos, some staged and hoaxed, obviously, and some are more questionable. This is one I consider to be a 100% hoax. This could easily be faked, because if you look in every single photo of a Mothman, looks like he's jumping across treetops. And I'm not saying that that's easy to do, but it is plausible that a man with a few strong cables or wires could float and kind of zip line between the tree lines, kind of making it seem, especially late at night, that he's flying, or rappel down as a car is coming to land on the hood, scaring the passengers inside. And if he's attached to a cable, that makes sense why he didn't fly, 20, 30 feet back, or go over and behind the vehicle. So, I mean, it's definitely one of those that I feel is more so on the fiction side. 100% actually. I'm going to group that one with the Loch Ness Monster as hoax. But it's definitely still interesting to talk about, because some of the encounters, are just dead on, true fear in the eyes and voices of these people. They see the big red eyes, and then it just hits them, and it's a flash, and this thing's on their hood, and they're screaming, and the wings are flapping, and it's leaving dust on their car, and then it flies away, and then somehow the evidence of the dust just magically goes away. It's definitely interesting, and it definitely brings up a conversation about what kind of supernatural crap there is out there. I mean, I'm not saying I believe in the supernatural. I personally have never seen or encountered anything extraterrestrial or supernatural by any means. Mean it doesn't exist, but I'm not sure, right? And as far as Mothman goes, if it is in one of those two categories, then it places me with not sure. Never seen proof of it, never seen any substantial evidence. There's news articles and accounts and sightings, and that's all you have to go on. There's a few photos that have been legitimized, but again, it could be just a dude in a suit. So really, Mothman is one of those that I feel is just not detriment, that's the wrong word, just completely irrelevant to the conversation of cryptids. Like a good example of a cryptid that I'm believing to and that I really argue for as far as cryptozoology being a real science and not a pseudoscience is the Tasmanian tiger, right? A mixed breed marsupial that was said to be of legend and lore. If you saw one of these, you were going to live a very long, healthy life in Australian lore. And lo and behold, it was true. There was this mixed breed animal, not of a tiger, not of any sort of Tasmanian descent, like devil or anything, but it was definitely a dog-like creature, which had to have been a cross of something and something to make this marsupial, this beautiful animal that is now extinct. But it was believed to be myth, and it was real, and that's something I consider cryptid over a mythological creature like Mothman. And that's where I kind of draw the line, is when it's not so much an animal, more of a hoax or myth. Another one of those that most of the mainstream ones, guys, as I go through them, I'm going to consider them hoaxes. Because the mainstream media will always pick these to be their main story, right? And will always get these kind of weird explanations as to what these things are, and it doesn't make any sense in science, because even though I believe cryptozoology shouldn't be a pseudoscience, at the same time, there's a lot of arguments to make it such, and Mothman's a perfect example of why it might be a pseudoscience after all, because it's inclusive into this cryptozoologic world where it's adding in these hoaxes, and you can't dismiss it because there's no proof against it, but it's overbearingly a hoax, right? And so what it comes down to, guys, I'm going to be making this series. This is the first one. I'm sorry it wasn't focused entirely on Mothman. I just wanted to get that one out of the way because I know it's going to be requested as the series grows. And maybe I'll decide to do a better video on Mothman. But as it stands, not interested in Mothman. It's 100% hoax. And if it's not, then it's something that hasn't been explained at all, like period, by modern science. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in today. I'm sorry I've been gone. There just hasn't been anything I wanted to put out there that I've been real passionate about until now. So I'm going to be doing this series every week. There's going to be a new video up every Tuesday. I'm going to try to do every Tuesday. And yeah, just don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment down below which cryptid you want me to go over. I'm doing extensive research on all of them. There's not one I don't think I have base knowledge of, and at least a few articles I can cite during the video. So yeah, you guys have a wonderful day. Happy holidays. It's almost Christmas, right? Get that new crypto merch, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.